Hello everyone, it's Rev Deanna here. Sorry I was a few minutes late with the getting on here for the midweek reflection. Um, it's a bit windy where I'm at, so I'm inside, but I have this picture behind me of bringing in the sheaves that was, it's a print of a photo done by a friend of mine, Tom Sadler, and so yeah, we're coming up on our Canadian Thanksgiving weekend, and so I thought bringing in the sheaves was an appropriate background to our conversation today, where I want to talk about balancing the joy and pain of living as we gather with friends and family to feast our hearts out this Thanksgiving weekend. This came up because of a discussion that Steve and I were having this morning. He listens or checks out a question forum called Quora that he uses to engage in discussions in world events. And one of the questions that was being discussed was whether the feel-good stories that are coming out of the war between Russia and Ukraine are a good thing or a bad thing. And I said I thought that they were both, because we need the I don't know if you have noticed, but there is a lot going on in our world these days, and between that and what might be going on in our own personal lives, it can be very overwhelming with bad news. And so having a good story, a feel-good story, is important to give us hope and inspiration, to remind us of the good of humanity when we're constantly bombarded with the less than desirable parts of humanity. And so they're good in that sense. But on the other hand, they can also become a form of escape, that we focus on them, on these feel-good stories. The one that Steve had told me was a story about a soldier in the Ukraine rescuing a kitten and even fashioning a little pouch on his back so that he could carry the kitten with him. And so sometimes we focus on these feel-good stories, and so that we don't have to deal with the pains of the world or the pain in our own lives. And that's not good. That's not healthy. We have to find a way to deal with these things. And the other piece of it that I said is that these stories can also trivialize what is happening in our world, what people are going through. You hear this story about the soldier and the kitten, and you might think, oh, well, the war can't be that bad because a soldier has time to not only rescue a kitten, but keep it with him. Or I've also heard, well, I know someone who went through residential schools and they weren't that bad. So that must mean that all residential schools weren't that bad. The list could go on. You could make up a story like that about any situation, really. And the danger is that we end up broadly generalizing and trivializing the experiences that people have. And that's not healthy either. So this Thanksgiving, the goal is to try our very best to balance the joy and pain of living. To remember that there are many in our midst, in our communities, and around the world that are going through some really hard stuff right now. And that this weekend kind of highlights some of that hard stuff for many people. That maybe they've experienced the loss of family through death or estrangement, And this weekend of families focused on family celebrations is really hard for them. It makes that loss feel so poignant. Maybe their poverty and inflation has made feasting more challenging for some. And, seeing people load up their carts, without a perceived care in the world at the cost at the end is really hard. Or to hear about everyone sharing their feast or rushing off to church or rushing off after church to feast when they're going home to something really Spartan is hard. Or maybe whatever is going on in their lives just has them in a hard place where expressing gratitude is challenging for them. And when we sit down at our tables and people just trivializing things by just, I'm thankful for friends or food. And yes, those are things that we are truly thankful for. But my goal is, folks, let's try and put some meaning behind our gratitude this Thanksgiving. To, instead of just saying I'm thankful for friends, think about, I am thankful for friends that sit by my side when world is too hard for me to bear. Or I am thankful for food that sustains my body and for the ability to have enough income to share. So I just invite us, friends, as we go around our Thanksgiving tables this weekend to be mindful of the balance between the joy and pain of living. That as we say our gratitudes, know that there are others less fortunate than us, and to say something that expresses how truly grateful we are for our abundance. And friends, we are really blessed. Really, really blessed. And may we give thanks for that. And may we find ways that we can share our abundance. I learned some phrasing when I was in my student ministry that has really stuck with me. And if you attend any of our in-person worship services, you've probably heard me say, as we talk about our offerings and the ways that we give, to say, let us each give as we are able, so that all may receive according to their need. And may that be so this Thanksgiving. Thank you so much for joining me for the midweek reflection. We have so much to celebrate, including a baptism in Killam this weekend. And so super excited about that. We are celebrating communion again together. And last weekend, I really remembered, when Jesus said that the food, it's more than food. So communion is taking on some new meaning for me as I continue to reflect on that. So I hope that is for you as well. And just the time to be together and celebrate with my family. I'm very excited about that. It'll be a little different this year, but that we will get through that as well. And thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week. Take care. God bless. Bye.